the streets saying death to America. I said, who signs a deal when they're marching saying death to America?
President Trump's deadline to decide the fate of the Iranian deal just days away, May 12th. Our next guest, who is meeting the vice president today on the very issue, warns it offers the fewest disadvantages and only Iran benefits by withdrawing. Here to explain, British Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson. Mr. Secretary, make your case by staying in this deal that you even told us is flawed.
It is. And, of course, the president is right to see flaws in it, and he set a very reasonable challenge to the world, was, look, Iran is behaving badly. Iran has a tendency to develop intercontinental ballistic missiles. We've got to stop that. We've got to push back on what Iran is doing in the region. We've got to be tougher on Iran, and we've got to fix the flaws in the deal. And one of the most important is that this sunset clause, which means that after 2025, the current deal allows Iran to go forward fast with enrichment programs which could lead to a nuclear weapon. Now, and no sanctions go back on. We need to find a way of fixing that, and the president has been right to call attention to it. But you've got to do that without just throwing the baby out with the bathwater, without scrapping the whole thing. Because if you do that, you have to answer the question, what next? What if the Iranians do rush for a nuclear weapon? Are we seriously saying that we're going to bomb those facilities at Qom and Fordow and Natanz? Is that really a realistic possibility?
Mr. Secretary,
or do we work with what we've got and push back on Iran together?
Well, listen, Chairman of Armed Services kind of agrees with you. He doesn't like the deal, but he says what replaces it. Now, are you proposing you take 60 days and say, Mr. President, hold on, the European leaders will come together with some of your concerns and put an overlay on this? Because you know the problem with that is Iran does not want to do anything. Iran says, I'm sticking with this deal. I'm not even talking about a new deal.
Well, that's right, and that is the problem. So what you've got to do is you've got to recognize that the heart of the old deal, of the existing deal, is that it gives Iran some reason to hope that they will have economic benefits in the long run. Actually, they haven't had much in the last few years, in return for which they don't equip themselves with a nuclear weapon. Let me just remind you, if they do get a nuclear weapon, you're going to get an arms race in the Middle East. You're going to have the Saudis wanting one, the Egyptians, the Emiratis. It's already a very, very dangerous state at the moment. We don't want to go down that route. And as I say, there doesn't seem to me at the moment to be a viable military solution.
All right, Mr. Secretary, I want you to hear somebody you respect, I know, Condoleezza Rice, former Secretary of State.
Yes.
Here's what she said. We asked her a couple of days ago, what if we pull out?
If we get out of this deal, it's going to be just fine.
And she went on to explain that, we'll be back to where we were. But at the premise of fundamentally, they never admitted they had a weapons program. And you saw what the Israelis have proven. They had a weapons program. So you went into, not you, but they went into this deal on a false premise. That's what the president's...
Not quite, if I may say. Actually, what happened, and I saw Benjamin Netanyahu's excellent presentation, but that related to the Iranian program up to 2003. And that was why it was a good idea to get them to do this deal, not to have nuclear weapons. And by the way, we're not just trusting them. Right. We're not just,
I know, but you're not going on military bases. But you're not going on military bases.
Yes.
You have cameras on military bases.
There have been 400 inspections over the last couple of years. They have.
You call ahead of time, though, don't you?
What they've done is, and the International Atomic Energy Agency has confirmed that Iran is in compliance. They haven't been rushing for a nuke. Their breakout. Let me remind you, before the deal was done. Before the deal was done, they could have had a nuke, and they were massively enriching uranium.
Mr. Secretary, I just want to finish. I have one last question for you. Please. Why do you need President Trump to tell you to do the things that should have been in this deal in the first place? Why does he have to demand this? You should have demanded this.
I wasn't in office then. That's
but your country should have.
Yeah, well, so should America, to be totally fair. I mean, we were all in it. Okay. But, yes, the president has a legitimate point. He set a challenge for the world. We think that what you can do is be tougher on Iran, address the concerns of the president, and not throw the baby out with the bathwater, not junk a deal. Because, as I say, Plan B does not seem to me to be particularly well developed at this stage.
Gotcha. Mr. Secretary, we have to go, but listen, you have your 3 separate nations have addressed the president in the last 10 days, very respectfully saying stay in. We'll see if the president accepts a delay, stays in, or gets out. Good luck with your meeting today, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks so much for your time.
No, it's a pleasure.